Dude, so ignore the mess I have. So, I'm so sorry. So this is what he gave us, right? These are the notes. Practically adjacent, whatever that means, hypotenuse maybe, and opposite differ depending on where the angle is, right? So the angle here. So sin is opposite over hypotenuse. Cos is adjacent over hypotenuse, right? Okay, we have that. Okay. So he gave us this. So the angle is right here. So we're going to use this one. So it's adjacent, adjacent, opposite, opposite, hypotenuse, hypotenuse. So for the first one, it says sin 30, sin. So sin, as we can see over here, sin is opposite over hypotenuse. So it would be 1 over 2, 1 over 2. And just simply simplify it. Simplify it, which you have to divide, right? 1 over 2 would be half or 1/2. You just have to simplify that one since they're whole numbers. So for number 2, cosine, adjacent over hypotenuse. So adjacent over hypotenuse, which is square root of 2, square root of 3 over 2. So for this one, he told me that as if the square root, that's what he told me, but I'm gonna ask him tomorrow. If the square root is on top, you just leave it like that. Because, like, look, for this example that he gave us, square root's on top, you leave it like that. He just took away the 1. But over here, it's over 2. And you really can't, simplify it, because, like, 2 times square root of 3, that's going to be so many decimals. So you just leave it like that because the square root's on top. So for 3, whatever that means, tan is opposite over adjacent. So opposite would be 1 over square root of 3. So that, like, for that, this is what I did. So the square root can't be on the bottom. It always has to be at the top. So for 3, this is what I did. 1 over the square root of 3, you have to simplify it. So let's, to cancel out the square root, let's multiply it times square root of 3, both. So 1 times square root of 3, square root of 3. Square root of 3 times square root of 3, square root of 3 to the second. So the square root and the second cancel out, which means you end up with 3. So you end up with square root of 3 over 3. So then for 4, CSE is hypotenuse over opposite. So 2 over 1. So that one you simply just simplify. 2 divided by 1, 2. So for sec is hypotenuse over adjacent. So 2 over square root of 3. So for this one, since square root is at the bottom, for 5, what I did was, so for 5, practically what I did was, so let me write it down. Where is my pencil? Great. 5, what's the question? 2 over square root of 3. So let's go ahead and multiply each. We're trying to get rid of the square root of 3, right? So times square root of 3, I can't see, times square root of 3 equals to 2 square root of 3 square root of 3 cubed. So those two cancel out, which equals to 2 square root of 3 over 3, because we have the square root on top, which is why I got this answer. I asked him if it was right, and he said yes. So let's hope tomorrow. So for 6 is adjacent over opposite. So adjacent, square root of 3 over 1. Square root of 3 over 1. You leave it the way as it is because the square roots are on top. So you can do that, or square root of 3 divided by 1 is square root of 3, because he did the same example over here where it's square root of 2 divided by 1. He left it as square root of 2. So that's practically how you do it. He said that one was right, that one was right, that one was right, and that one was right. And then these two, oh, this one is right. And I'm pretty sure this one is right, but I'm gonna ask him tomorrow, but you can copy it. I'm pretty sure it's right. And if you still don't get it, tell me. But practically that's what you do. You just have to like, you have to get rid of the square root of 3 at the bottom, so you have to multiply it by square root of 3 when it's 1. When it's 1, because it's easy. 1 times square root of 3, it becomes square root of 3. Now if it's like a 2 or a 3, that's gonna change it up, which is gonna be like this one.